Hello guys, what is going on? So today we got the part in the mail. It has been kind of a little bit cruddy because I've been having to use the truck. I did notice I filmed all of the video with the phone like straight up and down, so I'm actually going to try to film sideways, that way it's a full screen video. Anyways, yeah, so we got the part in. Finally came in. We had to get overnight shipping and we were only able to order it yesterday because money has been tight, but here it is. Okay, so we are under the car. There is the transmission. We're going to be putting that in here. Just make sure everything is clean in there. Go ahead and apply some lubricant. I'm actually just going to use some of my transmission fluid and just apply a little bit of that just so that everything seats nicely. So yeah, that should be it. Okay, so went ahead and got this in. Now you're gonna go ahead and push it until it seats. You might have to wiggle it around a little bit, so let's give it a little wiggle. And there we go. It popped into place with just a little bit of a wiggle and that shaft is in there. So yeah, anyways, crap. So I'm gonna have to take this out and flip the bracket so that it's not interfering with the lower control arm right here. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Okay, so now that that is in and the bracket is facing the right way, so pretty much it was just dropping down here, is facing down, so I had to pull it out, rotate it up, and then put it back in. Grab your 13mm and go ahead and start putting these in. You don't have to put Loctite on these bolts. And yeah. Okay guys, so real quickly, since I do have the input shaft in, I am topping off the transmission fluid right now. Just gonna make sure it doesn't leak, and it is a very slow process. So pretty much what I'm doing is putting the fluid in and then filling it up to the top and then covering this, just to make sure no contaminants enter, just to be careful. Back under the car, we're going to be looking for any leaks where the input shaft goes in right there. If you see any leaks, bop it in a little bit more with a hammer right here on that input piece right there, and that won't damage the bearing none. But yeah, just make sure that you're not leaking any fluids. Just top it off, be wise with your fluid, don't waste your fluid. And yeah, aside from that, make sure your drain plug's all tight. And yeah, you should be good. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a couple bops just in case, and yeah, let the fluid go ahead and settle, make sure it's not leaking any, so we can go ahead and get started with the CV axle. So yeah, I just figured I'd let you guys know that real quick. So yeah. Okay guys, so now those bracket bolts for the intermediate shaft bracket, right up there, you see one of those bolts where my finger is, right there, right above it. You have to torque those guys down to 35 foot-pounds. I have my torque wrench and adapter. Don't worry, adapters do not change torque. Set to 35 foot-pounds, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten all those guys down. It doesn't look like it's leaking. I already put in 2 quarts. This is all old stuff on the ground, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these bolts down. It doesn't look to me that the yeah guys, the half shaft doesn't look like it is leaking anything. It looks pretty dang clean in there. It doesn't look as flush as it should. I don't know if that's an issue or not, but when I installed it, I went ahead and bopped it with a hammer a couple of times, just right there on the edge, as you can see. So anyways, as long as it doesn't leak fluid, that is what is important. So I'm going to torque these bolts down, and then yeah, make sure you put 2.1 quarts in. I just put the 2 quarts in, and I'm not on a level surface. I'm actually in my driveway, so I'm waiting to get this all put on the ground and stuff before I get too deep into this and put that 0.1 quarts in, because it should leak out of the dipstick, or sorry, out of the fill hole from the transmission when it's full. And since the car is lifted up right now, the hole is a little bit higher, so I don't want to put too much fluid in it anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and torque these down, and I will get back to you guys. So use your 13mm and torque them down. Okay, so where were we? Anyways, now go ahead and put the CV axle in. I just did that. So now the CV axle is in, it is flush. You will see it is completely flush right there. And make sure you're still not leaking anything from over there. Actually, it looks very good. And go ahead, insert your lower ball joint. Do that first, actually. So sorry, do your ball joint. I was having problems getting this in. What you do when you have a problem installing your ball joint is get something like a chisel that gets bigger slowly, and install that, or sorry, insert that into the crevice here of the ball joint, and then you're gonna pound it in with a hammer and give it a couple taps, and then that'll separate everything. If you do that without your axle light, you can have it straight up and down like so, and then you can hammer it down and it'll separate the spacing in the metal where the ball joint is. Oh, sorry, my camera is just crud. Anyways, it'll separate where the ball joint is, so you can go ahead and insert that. Make sure that you get it all the way down. You should see it flush with the top here, and that's how you know it is flush. This is a 15mm nut, and that is a hex bit, or sorry, star bit key. What I used in order to get that in was a wrench, and then I went ahead and found this this little bit right here. Gosh, it will not concentrate. It's a 6. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hold on. Anyways, yeah, it's a 6, and it's just an Allen key bit almost, but it's the same fitting. And I went ahead and put that in here, and as you can tell, it doesn't have much back and forth play. There's a little bit, but not a lot, so that was enough to get it snug. And then we're gonna go ahead and torque this down. The ball joint is 46 foot-pounds on these, so make sure you torque those down to 46 foot-pounds. And then go ahead and install the tie rod, and make sure your axle is in place, and then put your axle nut on. You do have to tighten these by hand before you put them on the ground, otherwise you can damage your wheel bearing, just so you know that. And aside from that, yeah, then you're gonna install your tie rod right here. Go ahead and grab your bolt for that guy. Hold on. So yeah, grab your bolt for that. Remember, that does have an Allen key in the top, so just like that. Get that snug, and then yeah, grab your Allen key, put that in there, and then use a wrench to tighten this down by hand. Okay. So like I said, put the Allen key in, and then go ahead and hold that guy in place, and then use your a 15mm wrench and tighten that guy down at the same time as you're holding this, and then torque that down to 35 foot-pounds. Alright guys, so go ahead and put that bolt in, torque that to 66 foot-pounds, and then this is 35, and yeah, so now all we have left is to put the brake calipers on, or sorry, the brake caliper bracket on, and the caliper and the rotor and all that. And then after that is on, and the CV axle nut is torqued down, then go ahead and make sure your brakes are all on and tight, and then put your wheels on, and then just make sure that you thread those hand tight and then crank them down with the socket a couple times. Just make sure they're flush. Put it on the ground, and then after that, yeah, go ahead and torque them down to 100 foot-pounds. So yeah, that should be it. Okay guys, so I got too excited working on the car. I need to go ahead and drop off some stuff to my girlfriend, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the 50cc out and go ahead and drop some stuff off real quick. So I'm waiting on my grandpa to get back with brake cleaner, so I can clean my rotors and then put the brakes on. And then once the brakes are on, then I can hit the brakes so the brake rotor doesn't move, so I can tighten down the axle nut. And then once I put that on, then I'm gonna go ahead and put the wheels on. So yeah, I figured I'd let you guys know that. Don't get too caught up doing what you're doing and forget what you're doing. Well. So guys, I went ahead and I put transmission fluid into the car while it was flat, and yeah, transmission fluid is supposed to come out of the fill hole as soon as you're done. And the way I know is, sorry about that, the way I know is it left a little bit of a drop on the ground, but aside from that, no oil leaks under the car. And yeah, so this video was on how to install an intermediate shaft on your car. We also changed the transmission fluid, did a whole bunch of other cool stuff. There's more to come. It's just I don't like working on my cars, I don't like having problems with my cars. Anyways, if you did like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you did want to watch any more, go ahead and subscribe. Maybe I will upload a little bit more, I don't know. Like I said, I don't like problems with my car, so I hope you have a good one.